going on, guys? So now we're doing the rear quarter trim piece. This one's definitely probably going to be on the more difficult because of all the different, you have this curve here, it is not a straight piece, and then you have the body line here, and then this part that just juts up, and this part that indents. For this piece, I'm going to do some testing. Hopefully it'll be my mess up. Your guys' reward is I'll test out some tries. Is I'm going to cut the vinyl in 2 pieces, and I'm just going to follow this body line right here. Hopefully it meshes just right and you're not able to see it, but I think with the way this piece works, that'll probably be the easiest part, because trying to get this line straight and having it hit right here on this curve will be different. You guys are going to notice we're in a new atmosphere, and I'm in my little pop-up tent out back. My little Porta-Shop is what I like to call it. And I'm trying to see if this maybe works a little bit better to be able to spray all the product and do it all in one shot, so that way you guys can see how I spray, how I go about it. You can definitely see my piece is used and abused. If you look closely, you can see the ripples of the cracks underneath. I'm just trying to salvage this piece, because if we do flip it over, you can see where I've used JB Weld plastic bonder to get it to be one straight solid piece, but if you look close, you can see it's not in the greatest shape. This piece here is cracked. There's a little bit crack here, crack up here, crack here. But I'm gonna put on screen, a new pair of these is almost $500 on Top Flight. On eBay, they're like $350, or they're like $150 each. I'm just gonna see if this works. If this works, it works, and I'm save that money till later. If this doesn't work, then I'll be saving up and be buying those pieces. But so what I'm gonna do is the typical prep. Gonna sand the living crap out of it. I did on this back side cut the old vinyl batt off, so that way it was bare fiberglass in a lot of the spots. I'll probably trim this bit off here too, just that way I can sand it, so that way my edges are adhering to straight fiberglass. You get a lot better bond within the vinyl. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand the living crap out of this, and then get to prepping it. Alright, so we got it all cleaned. Now we're going to let it dry for about 5 minutes, just to make sure everything's good and dry. I did end up picking up a box of these clips. They're just tiny little ones. They're 5-pound force. They're nothing strong. They're just enough grip to hold stuff in place. Because I found with my other pieces, after they sat for a couple days, some of the corners did start to come up. And so what I did was just added some more adhesive and just clamped it down for 24 hours just to let that adhesive fully cure. And so then I found when I was wrapping my piece from the last video that afterwards I clamped it and let it sit for 12 hours, came back the next morning, pulled the clamps off, and the corners were completely solid. So that's what I'm going to do, because when you're wrapping it is the adhesive's not getting the full amount of time to be able to solidify and cure. So when I'm wrapping this one, as I go through the corners and get and the edges and get them all done, I'll be tossing all these clamps on them just to make sure it's 100% solid. So what I'm going to try with this one is maybe not pulling the vinyl, the back of this all the way off yet. So I did just spray the adhesive on. But another thing I'm trying this to go around is I'm not spraying adhesive on the back. What I'm going to do is get the front all set perfectly. Then I'm going to flip it over, spray adhesive, then go from there. So debating on if I pull all, might as well just pull all this stuff off. Might as well. Actually didn't turn out too bad. So now what we're going to do, which I actually got that pretty good tucked in there, I'm going to spray the back with adhesive and we'll come in and lay that down with it. So now we're going to come back through with it. I did look up this 3M product a little bit more, got some more reviews, and a lot of the reviews say to let it sit for about 30 to 45 seconds before you go to bond it, because it lets the material start to get tacky. So that's what I'm going to try here now, is just let this sit for about 30-40 seconds and then go forward from there. I am curious how this is going to work out with a seam. Doesn't look too bad, but good thing about me doing it and you not doing it right away is I can show you if it looks like crap, and then you can avoid going that route. So that's been probably about 25-30 seconds. We'll give it another 15-20 seconds. With these pieces too, it's just cutting a bunch of pie cuts and then just layering it so each one has its own amount of tension being pulled on it, an own amount of grip, just kind of spread it out. When you do like a large seam, if you think about it, you do a large piece here, lay it down, that whole piece is being hit by all that tension. You split it up, each one is getting its own amount of pull in a sense. So it's been about 45 seconds now, so we're going to start to come back through with this and start to lay this up. And so here's where our first relief cut will be. Okay, so we got those all nice and good. So now here comes this part down here, and we're going to flip this around, get you guys better camera angles, check, make sure, okay, you kind of got a good angle. I'll pull it up too. So this one we're going to make a cut here and just make a cut there. We're just going to pull that down, and that piece can come down there as well. And then take that, let that piece lay in. I want to get my shirt stuck. Okay, so then I'm just going to take this whole, oh, that part is ripped off. I'm just going to take this whole piece in and just let that adhere, so that way that part just doesn't rip off, and then there's that. And then since I laid that extra piece up there, I'm just going to, or that vinyl there, I'm just going to spritz them in there, just to ensure that it doesn't come off at all. So what we can do is make a cut there, get that piece in there, make a cut there, make a cut there. So that down there, that there, and so that part doesn't have to be too pretty because it will be covered by the part that comes there. But we're just going to hit that with one, hit that part with one. Those ones down there popped off again. That with one. Don't be scared to be aggressive with these things. They're not going to do any damage, depending on the poundage you get, which that's why I got the 5-pound ones. They're not going to do any damage to the vinyl. But I mean, you look at the front of it. I don't know how much you guys. There you go. It does look a world better, and I think I'll be able to blend that seam pretty well. But we will see here. So that's nice and good there. I might never have enough clips. I might just let that sit for a couple hours and then come back to it. Just that way I can pull off some of those clips and go from there. Alrighty, we are back. It's been a couple hours. See, these clips are holding it down nice and good. Turned out alright. Not the greatest. There are a little couple things that could use some work. But this is all for testing purposes and to see. So we're going to go about and just put this piece on and hopefully just be able to follow that. Pull this off and get a nice good seam there. Cover that seam. So what I'm going to do is measure this with a little bit of that lip there. And so just about right here is what we're going to do. I'm just going to go like this. I get a nice straight line there. So for this piece, the interesting part, I'm going to scoot this down here, is definitely going to be this pocket where the seat belt goes. I honestly have no clue how this is going to work, if it is going to work or what. Because what I'm thinking is I'll start by pressing this part in first and then go out, and it should work that way. Let's see if I can do that. So let's see, we lock this up. So I mean, that kind of works if we do that. Push this part in first and go up there. And this one should be fun. So we'll let this sit here for about 45 seconds just because I did. Okay. So. Alrighty, here for the next 3 minutes, you see me struggle pretty hard with this piece. That concave ended up kicking my butt, but thankfully with this material, you're able to rip it off and retry, rip it off, retry. I did spray a couple times more adhesive just to be sure. I ended up just accepting the couple of wrinkles that I did have in it. I did learn later on when I was doing the passenger side a couple spots where I could do some relief cuts and they'd be hidden by the seatbelt. I eventually will be redoing this piece in the nearby future, but for now I kind of just want to enjoy it. So it is, since it's just my car, I'm okay with it being a little ugly in some spots. This being the driver's side piece, it'll be right behind my head, so I won't be able to see it unless I'm turning around and looking, and I very rarely do that to be able to see this kind of a spot. So that's why I'm just accepting it. But yeah, this piece is definitely hard. I tried heating it up on the little space heater just to see if it got some more pliability to it, and it wasn't getting any. So that's why you see me struggling. But it did end up turning out a lot better than what it looked like originally, so I accepted it. trickier, this piece, but the bottom turned out great. It's just this top part with this pocket here that's just being a lot more difficult than the other pieces. And leave this here, and we'll come back to it tomorrow, but that's going to conclude it for this video. I'm probably going to do the passenger one off camera just so I can sit down and tinker with it a bunch and try to see if there's a different way I can go about the seatbelt strap area, because that seatbelt strap area is kind of more difficult just because of the shape it is, the contour. But the rest of it turned out really good. I got to figure out a little bit better way to do this seam there. But other than that, everything else did turn out pretty good. Using these clips helps these edges stick a lot more. It is a night and day difference from the first time to the current time now with these, trying to get these edges to stick and adhere. So definitely would recommend picking up a pair of these, or a box of these. I picked them up off Amazon, like I said, for, it was 20 bucks for the kit, or for the set of 20 of them, so can't go wrong with that. But what I'm going to do, I brought the battery out here, which I figured it would be able to fit in there, but it's not going to be able to. So we're good. But I'll be uploading I'll upload the other piece, the passenger side, on another video. I'll do it off camera, but I'll show it in camera so that way you guys can see if I did any better. And then on Friday, I'll do a video of me installing the rear parts and how they look inside the car. And then next week, depending with the holidays and everything, I'll probably be pulling the dash off, or the dash pad, and see if I can wrap that, get that to look a little bit better. So if you guys like what you saw and you learned a little bit, you learned what mistakes to avoid, definitely, you know, try to get it in one piece if you can. I think one piece might have looked a lot better without this seam here. But this part I'm going to have to figure out. This part you might have to do in 2 separate pieces of vinyl. Excuse me. 2 separate pieces of vinyl, and that might help that do better. Yeah, as always, hit the like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.